What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. What's up, everyone? Ryan Kramer here with Crossover Commerce. Thank you for joining me on a Friday. It's lovely weather outside. It's early for some parts of the United States, late in other parts of the world, but we're here. We're here to listen to a very special guest today. Again, if you're joining me on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're consuming this, or on a podcast later, thank you again for listening and joining us, interacting, and asking your questions. Again, my name is Ryan Kramer. I'm the host of this show. If you've never heard of us, I host a show and bring on special guests of people in the industry that I think provide valuable insight and perspective to be able to talk about what they've gone through in the Amazon or e-commerce industry, and then have been able to provide valuable insight and just give you something like not push, obviously, their company, give education, but also just to, if you can walk away from this show with one or two little tidbits of information, that's what we're here for. But my very special guest is Gabriel Casteros. He was a former Amazon seller, but now works for Better AMS, which is an Amazon advertising agency. And I won't speak for him, but I'll go ahead and bring him in and have him talk a little bit more about his company. Gabriel, thanks for joining me today.
No, Ryan. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm always excited to hop into conversations like this because there is a lot of value from them. I'm a fan of podcasts, and yours is one of the podcasts I have in my list. So
well, we haven't been around that long, so I appreciate that.
I'm going to probably come across the podcast one time, and I'm gonna be like, no, I don't want to listen to myself.
No, that's fine. Like if you don't, you could just skip to the next one and the next one. And for those, obviously, we do post these on later on in the audio version on like Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So if you want to listen to this and you just don't have time to watch this, it's on all of our social media channels. But yeah, this is a live portion. So if you have questions, definitely shoot them in the comments below for Gabrielle. We're here for a little while, at least the next hour or so. Yeah, post below right there. And then we'll get to those. But yeah, you've been awesome to join us. This is a busy time of year for you. It's like nonstop, I'm assuming.
It is. It's 6 hours, 6 days, 20 hours, 4 minutes till Prime Day. So till Black Friday. So
we were counting down to Prime Day, but yeah, now it's already Black Friday. We have to look at, right?
Usually, most of the things are already done by this time of the year. But there are a few things that Amazon is kind of pushing a bit more. You know, like custom image beta is starting to appear more all of a sudden on top of search, as well as sponsored brands video. So we are double down our strategy in both ad units, just because Amazon is just starting to push that a lot more. But
yeah, there's been a lot that's been introduced this year, I would say, on the Amazon PPC. At least in the last year, I would consider. I think Amazon has really amped up their game in the ad space, just within their own marketplace. So before we kind of dive into and kind of go into the deep end, I know we have so much to cover. Yeah. Why don't you kind of give your background? You talked a little bit on our webinar a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago at this point. Time is irrelevant at this point in our lives, I would say. So it's just all one big mesh. You talked a little bit about your background, but for those of you who are listening live, again, from around the world, weren't able to tune in, what's kind of your background and your story? Like in the title, obviously, it's from Amazon seller to PPC expert. That seems, to people, that might seem confusing, but you have an interesting background. What's kind of that story for you?
Well, I discovered Amazon back in 2016, and what I used to do was buy stuff on Amazon to flip it on my country. And then when I discovered you could sell on Amazon, it was like, wow, I gotta try this. I started hustling as much as I could to get together around 10 grand, and I officially started with my Amazon business with 10 grand, and I lost 10 grand completely after launching my first product, which was a mess. Not proud about that, but again, it's maybe people are scared they will lose 10 grand. You will probably lose 10 grand in the very beginning. Then I started hustling a bit more, and I did. There were a few products from that 10 grand batch that did okay. So I reinvested around 30K. So it's a total 40K. Started back in 2017 officially. The company scaled, and we sold it earlier this year for 6 figures around in March. And we took that money and put it on real estate. But during those 2 years, I discovered that what I liked the most was PPC. I really enjoyed seeing what I could do for my brand and other brands as well. So I started just putting content, explaining things that I was doing to improve things on my brand, to improve things on people I was helping. And people started reaching out. Hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And I started to become a character in the PPC side of things. So that's when Better AMS noticed what I was doing, and I joined their excellent team. They're excellent people. I'm really happy where I am right now. It's something like I wouldn't imagine, where I would have been 2 or 3 years from now. But that's kind of my story. So I have a lot of insights on the stellar background, because when I'm talking with the people we work with, it's like, man, I've been there. This is what I did, or hey, I fail you, man. I know what sounds like.
I think that's the most valuable insight you can always give, right? For those who don't know, I've never sold on Amazon, but I've obviously worked with lots of people who have, and I just gain my knowledge through stories like yours and other sellers. But when it comes to going through the weeds, like you said, you lost money when you invested in it, and you were just like, you're probably going to do that. People are scared to hear that. And how do you kind of overcome that initial, just wave of people like, I don't know if I should jump in on this. Like, it's a scary thing. What's kind of your advice for people who are looking to sell on Amazon?
Well, first of all, I am a very impulsive guy. Like, if I decide to do something, I will go all in, and I will not do my research. And that's who I was back then. So maybe the losing 10 grand, it's on me. And right now there are plenty of processes you can follow. Helium 10 has a lot of information on this and how to pick the right product. Brandon Jones as well. So if you do your homework and you focus in a niche where really who you want to face on the marketplace, I think there is still opportunity to find good products, profitable products. Back then I was like, you know what? Let's just try with this. Maybe it will sell, maybe it won't. I was not doing a lot of research at all, so it's part of on me that we lost 10 grand in the very beginning. But then I was very meticulous with the other with the second investment, because I knew that it was now or never. But I would say that there are pretty good resources out there. Brandon Young is especially one of the guys that has good information about just launching new products constantly, and Helium 10 as well. Helium 10 is putting a lot of content out. Yeah,
absolutely. Helium 10 again. Brandon Young, as a seller himself, based out of Florida, but he has a group of students. Love hearing his thoughts. Follow him on Facebook, and then obviously Helium 10, our friends over there. Great software tools. Obviously, there's so much out there in terms of like what Helium 10 does and whatnot. Where do you suggest people kind of thumb through? Who do I need to have as part of, like, where do I start? Like, because education is key, like you said. Well, what's kind of the best place if I'm coming into Amazon and I'm going to pull the trigger? What research and verification, is the best way to go about that?
It depends, because if you have started the journey yourself, you can hop on right into maybe Better AMS YouTube channel. not doing self publicity here.
Hey, it's valuable content. No, that's not a problem.
But if I would have to start again from scratch, I would probably start with something like crossover commerce, because it has a wide variety of things going on. So I would start just speaking, from different places. This guy said this, because you have to format criteria yourself, and you don't get to do that if you're listening to the same guy every time, right?
100%.
You start to get different opinions. You start forming your own criteria. You start testing your own strategies as well, because there's no one size fits all for Amazon, right? But even when it comes to advertising, selling, launching products, all categories are different. I'll start that way, and then I will start slowly moving to sometimes what helium tinctures. It's very wide, very general, and I would probably look for people that are focused on niches, right? So if there is a guy focused on only product ranking, I'll listen to that guy because that guy is on that every day, right? There's people like Isabella Hamilton from Rankville. She's in product
friend of the show, Isabella. Yeah.
She's on product launches every day, right? Destiny Wishon, she's in Amazon advertising every day. So if you look for people that are focused on niches, I think you can get a lot of value from them once you're already on the journey. Once you have already started, once you have already launched a couple of products. But if it's from scratch, crossover commerce, start gathering all of the information you can.
Absolutely. And I think that's super valuable. Obviously, not one place knows everything. There's lots of courses out there. And I think a lot of people are a little confused. Like, there's not one place to gain all sorts of knowledge. That person was super successful because they probably did their homework, and they probably are trying to educate people based upon their perspective. Obviously, it's not going to replicate for every individual person, which is really scary for people to just assume that it's a plug and play model. It's not, because every product's different, every listing is different, or you want to diversify and make it different, right? So every brand is going to be different. There's no one formula to make you successful, because it's timing, it's your money, it's your resources, it's your effort. It's a lot of different things. So getting into the field, do you feel like it was maybe more what do you think is the one thing that really, is it the education thing that was your downside, or was it the field that you were in? What do you think, looking back, was maybe why you weren't successful in the initial part?
What made us successful on the initial part was that we focused on creating products that were that couldn't be replicated. Something in the packaging, something on the design, something on the materials that we were using, something that would differentiate us so much that a competitor wouldn't come up and just replicate it all of a sudden, right? And that and the outcome of that was that we actually started producing our goods here in our country instead of China. We were paying probably 2-3 times the cost, but it was a product that met our criteria, right? That it had the materials that we wanted. We were importing goods from the U.S. to produce our goods here to send them back to the U.S. So we were coming up with really cool products, really cool packaging, really good materials, and we were doing our design in-house. So I think if you can try to meet, maybe not all of them, but most of those things, good packaging, good materials, good differentiation, your product can start picking up. Now, I started with a mindset of the more products, the better, because you minimize the risk, right? But sometimes that's not the case, because if you don't focus time, effort, money to rank a product, it's not going to pick up. Like, it's not going to pick up magically unless you're in a niche that things just index and start selling. So I'm not saying that strategy doesn't work. You just got to make sure that you rank for the right keywords, and then you push those keywords on PPC so that you start getting some momentum, because if there's no momentum, you won't see sales on the long term.
Yeah, I think that's super valuable information. So you obviously gained almost like an expertise by running your own business. Congratulations on saying that. That's huge. Like, not everyone gets to walk away and say, hey, I was successful and sold it. Like, lots of people are successful. They sell their businesses. What's that process like for you? Like, how does one go about, hey, I'm willing to walk away with something that's making me money on a consistent basis. But what does it mean when someone sells their brand or sells their business? It's not like a traditional, like brick and mortar store. Like, you're not handing over keys. Yeah. What's that process like? I'm curious, because no one's really gone into the weeds, or like, I've sold 7 figures or 6-figure businesses. Like, what are you selling in that context?
Yeah. Well, I sold a 6-figure business, and when you're doing that, you're selling a digital asset, right? And that involves selling your brand name, your products, your product designs, your product packaging, your trademark, your Amazon seller account. You're giving up your the company's bank account as well, not your bank account. And it was a process that took us around 2 to 3 months. My business wasn't that huge. It's not like you're making a payment of $1 million. So it was more about just aligning most of the things. And it's a process where you have to be patient. And if you're selling your Amazon business, you gotta have a vision of what you will do with the cash you will get. Otherwise, don't sell it at all. Keep working on it. But we started seeing our opportunities that looked like something we could try, we could test on, we could. We wanted to make sure we tested it before building on our Amazon business, and we decided to go that way. We knew what to do with the cash, so we did it that way. 2.5 to 3 month process. Lots of contracts to sign. People need to review, so you need to be patient. But it's not impossible. There's people out there seeking for Amazon businesses to purchase as long as they have a good runway and then being profitable.
Absolutely. And with that, so there are businesses that want to take over just basically the profitability of what a seller like yourself is already doing, but they have the resources to maybe take it to another level, whether it's money, time, effort, resources, things like that. So how does a person or a company like that evaluate what the worth of? Is it based on revenue and sales and kind of what trajectory might be, or what's that look like?
Great question. So you usually get on Amazon businesses, you can check this on Empire Flippers. You will usually get 2.5 to 3.5 x the profits you're generating within a year. The profit you're generating within a year. But something that it's also very valuable, and I learned this on the way. Something that it's really valuable when you are selling your Amazon business is what you offer as a seller, right? So in my case, it was a good PPC system in place. Other people might be a great pictures resource in place. Other might be a good videography team in place. So I was able to share with this seller a PPC structure that works for the account, that it's constantly generating profitable PPC sales, and that he could take from there and scale it with, as you said before, replenishing more inventory, putting most of the leasing optimization to his in-house team, and stuff like that.
Awesome. So, I mean, that's something that I don't think a lot of people just ask the question. They think there's it's a one size fit all, system where they're just buying the name and they're buying, inventory, but it's a little bit more, detailed than that, which is really cool. So it's something that I think a lot of people do you think that's what a lot of people's end game is? Or do you think that a lot more sellers are just, hey, I want to do this and make money on the side, or I want this to be my full-time job and make a business? What do you see as a lot of your clients are coming in? What has that focus shifted into one avenue or mindset to another?
Yeah, great question again. So I had the mindset of not selling the business for a long period of time. And this is probably 5 to 10 years, right? And but one day I was watching this guy, Kevin King, right? And he said, I was part of Helium 10 Elite. I don't know if it's out. I don't know if that still works, but I watched this guy, and he said, you can make more money selling 3 businesses in 10 years than keeping one business for 10 years. I was like, how does that work? And he started doing the math. So he started doing, you scale 3 Amazon businesses, and then you flip them. And I was like, well, that probably makes sense. And on the way, he said stuff like, if you sell your business and you don't want to do Amazon anymore, you can do this, and then start with less money and stuff like that. So, wow, that makes sense. and that's how I decided it would be. There was opportunity in doing that. But again, it depends how people feel. There might be people that are really putting sweat, blood, and tears in building a brand. There's people that is focusing more on doing a private label. And a private label probably is not like as sellable as a brand, but it's still sellable depending on the buyer.
Right.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
And there's so many more companies that are emerging out there that are looking to buy specific, Amazon storefronts, whether it's a private label or whether it's, just inventory in general, or just like the process that you build out, whether it's SOPs or, just any kind of brand equity that you have as a seller. It has a dollar value. I know that's, like you said, Gabrielle, it's not what everyone's vision is, but it is an option for a lot of people out there. They just don't know. How do people come across like a storefront? Like, how do you get noticed by companies like that? I know there's like research people that are in touch with that, but Amazon doesn't publish readily, or they used to not do that. They don't publish how to get in contact with these businesses. How does that process go? Like when someone reaches out to you, or do you reach out to a business? What's that typical process like?
Yeah, so we started putting that on our website, like business for sale. Yeah, because I mean,
like selling a car on the street. Yeah, exactly.
What we wanted to do first was knock doors on family, friends, and fools. Because if you can sell the business to a person you know for the past couple of years, or a friend of a friend that has known you for the past couple of years, it's a lot. It's a lot transparent. I feel that you can just tell the people, hey, this is what, because you don't know who is buying your business if you sell it through a third party. But I was about to list my business on Empire Flippers until one of these people that we knocked doors on reached out back to us, and he said, hey, I'm actually interested. I already own an Amazon business. And I would like this to be my second one. So we started the process with him, and thank goodness it was that way, because we avoid paying a fee for getting the transaction done through a third party. So I'll knock the door on family, friends, and fools first, then go out and list it for sales if that's the case.
Gotcha. So obviously there are companies like Empire Flippers where you can actually seek out individual consults. And obviously we have companies on the show that have talked about like investment into your company in general. So there's a lot of companies that are just investing into other companies, which sell on marketplaces, which is a crazy time. So when you were talking about, so you're located in Guatemala, correct?
That's right.
All right. For people, don't know, that's in, obviously, it's a different part of the world that not a lot of people think about, like e-commerce boom, like a Japan or Germany or an Australia or something like that. So when you were selling and you were saying you were sourcing from the United States, goods from the United States, which I don't think a lot of people think about or do. It's a lot of sourcing from China or sourcing from India, countries like that. So what was kind of that mindset of, hey, I'm going to get United States goods and bring it to a country and sell it on a marketplace that it is not popular. So why did you choose to sell in Guatemala?
We were producing our goods here in Guatemala.
Okay, gotcha.
We were exporting the goods to the United States.
Okay, you were selling, so you were flip-flop. You sold to the United States. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. What I said was that we reached a point where we couldn't find good raw materials here in Guatemala, and we had to import the raw goods to transform during our country to export them back. That
makes more sense.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. I ask questions here. I'm just as a novice as maybe someone else might have asked that question. Which again, if you have questions or need clarification, if you're listening on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, everyone, please ask them below. We will post them on here, or just say hi, or say like a specific comment, something you found valuable. We'd love to hear from you. Just write those in the comment below, and we'll make sure those get asked. So that's obviously that makes more sense. So why did you choose the United States then? You sold on .com, obviously. Was that the only marketplace that was available for you that you thought made sense, or what was the research that you did that made that decision?
Well, when you start dipping your toes on Amazon FBA, one of the first things you hear, and this is one of the first things I heard, was the Amazon US is huge, 350 million people, plus the people that are searching from other countries in that marketplace. So it was a no-brainer to start there, honestly. What I've heard recently is that If you wanna start and just test how things work, it's better if you start in the marketplace you live. So if you're in the Netherlands, it makes more sense to start in the Netherlands first, get involved with how things work, and take it from there, right? Because the US right now, it's a huge monster. You can get lost in the ocean of products that's there now. And you have to come, if you're going to enter the US market, you have to enter with a budget, right? And knowing that it's going to cost you X amount of dollars to rank in the marketplace for certain keywords. But that's basically why I started with the US instead of other marketplaces. Well, by the time we sold the business, we were selling on the UK, and we were strong in the UK, probably half of our US sales, and we were doing Canada as well, which was 10% of our sales.
Gotcha. And what for people, you don't obviously have to say what specific good, what category were you selling in? Just curious.
Good question. I was in the mindset of more products, mitigate the risk. I was in the baby category. I was in toys and games. We had good Christmas seasons. We were in the decor category as well.
Okay. I've lived in that category too. Garden flags and garden gnomes. Believe me, if it's trinkety or it makes your house look nicer. Our company used to sell it, or does still sell it, I should say. They're not out of business. I just don't work there anymore.
Yeah.
So I feel you.
Oh yeah, man. And it's hard working like from the PPC side. The decor category is hard because
it's super competitive.
It's not that it's competitive. It's that it's a bit hard to measure how to scale things, because for one people, it might be one thing, and it's not a kind of category where you do a search and you click on the first result, right? Because things are so different there that people will stop on the fourth page to get something, or the second page. So it's an interesting category to be in. Yeah.
Yeah, I think specifically for those categories, and baby in general is a competitive one. It's a very good and healthy market. Like there's just a lot out there. But I think, like you said, and maybe that transitions into advertising that we can get into a little bit. When you have to know what people are searching for, there's just an abundance, and not every one person is going to search for a good or the same good or product the same, right? I can be like a baby blanket, but I can be like kids blanket, or a kids blanket for 2 to 3 year old, or blue blanket, or whatever. All those different variations you have to be optimized for. And if you're not listing organically, that's where a company like Better AMS comes into play. So when I'm assuming did Destiny, was she the one that reached out to you, or how they said they found you?
Oh, well, great question. So I joined.
Talk about the origin story. I love to hear it.
I'm trying to rewind everything now. So I joined a course called PPC AMS Accelerator. The founders of that course were Taylor Ventrud and Sean Smith. Taylor Ventrud is founder and COO of Better AMS. I joined the course back in early 2018, or mid 2018. I don't remember.
So not too long ago.
Yeah, and I got to meet Taylor, and I was like, this guy is younger than me, and he has an Amazon advertising agency, and he's doing great. I was an Amazon seller. He was not selling on Amazon back then. And I was like, wow, that would be a great company it would be incredible to work alongside him. But he was not hiring or anything like that.
Sure.
Then on 2019, he was scaling his agency. He hired Destiny. Destiny, part of what Destiny did to Better AMS made her, made her a co-founder in the company. And I was like, wow, this company is getting bigger. Taylor's a great guy. Destiny is a great person as well. And I was like, I really would like to join their team at some point, but since I'm an Amazon seller, I couldn't, right?
Right.
There were things that didn't make sense ethically. Then
Which is very important. It's super important to go ethically as well, or to think about those things.
Yeah, because you cannot take a look at I don't know 10 accounts data if you have an account or your own interest. Imagine I would be managing an account that's on my category, like no.
Or competitor, and obviously subserting their efforts to benefit yours. Yep.
You don't want to experience that. So by the time I was in the process of signing the papers for handing the company to someone else, I applied, and by that time I was also putting a lot of content out. So I was getting, I was building a lot of awareness, especially on LinkedIn, and that's where they finally reached out back to me, because I had applied probably two times, and I was like, this is the last time I apply, because I feel like it's not for me. But they finally reached out. I talked with everyone in the team. Back then it was Alex, Taylor, Destiny, and that's how I got in. That's
awesome. So what was kind of that one thing that? So I mean, there's a lot of agencies. So what's kind of, for people who don't know who Better AMS is, what's kind of the focus on you guys as a company? It's pretty, I wouldn't say niche, but it's very focused on PPC strategy and the newest technologies that Amazon's obviously allowing for sellers to utilize. What's kind of the thing that sets you as a company apart, or what do you guys tell people that sets you guys apart?
We typically work with people that feel that they're missing a ton on their Amazon advertising, and that actually matches. They feel like they're missing a ton, and that actually matches that when we take a look at at the account. They're not running sponsored brands or sponsored display. They're only running sponsored products. And what we focus on for real is scaling, because if you're not running sponsored brands, for instance, you're missing probably 30% of the PPC sales you're generating. And if you're not running a sponsored display, that's another 10% of sales increase. And each of these different ad units have different targeting, right? On sponsored products, you can do keyword targeting and product targeting. On sponsored brands, you can do keyword targeting, product targeting. On sponsored display, you can do product targeting and audience targeting. And now you can do retargeting, which is something that was recently rolled out for some accounts. Not all accounts have it for now, but it was recently rolled out. So you got when you are starting to analyze that in an account we're onboarding, it comes out that we need to build a structure that works as data feeders for the structure we're implementing. So if I would have to ask in one sentence, what we focus on is scaling. Of course, if you scale profitably, beautiful. If you want to maintain a certain ACOS, that's beautiful. But what we really rely on, it's just scaling. Because from there, like once you're generating a certain volume, once you are in that flywheel that is constantly generating sales, building a better organic rank and building a better PPC rank and getting a lower CPC over time, the flywheel just gets rolling and it creates a snowball effect.
Absolutely. And to reintroduce everyone, this is Gabriel Casteros from Better AMS. He's in Guatemala, but he's helping people all over the world develop their strategies and help run it for them. You guys are a full service ad agency that, both educates and consults with people on their website. I've obviously put the link below in terms of where you can find that company. But I think a lot of people are just kind of like hesitant on like, I know I need to advertise, right? Like launching a product is one thing, and that's scary in it itself. And what people didn't know is that I want to say maybe a couple of years ago, Amazon kind of just really opened this gauntlet of how many different kinds of ad placements can happen within their marketplaces. And that's the crazy thing, is that it used to be, like you said, just display ads or just I'm trying to think of the first one. I think it was just sponsored products, right? That was their very introduction of, So it was sponsored products. That was the introduction of listings. And what that would mean is if you're searching for, say, let's go back to kids' toys. And if you are targeting an ad, you're paying, what you're doing as a brand and store, you're paying a certain amount to be featured within that search term to an audience. Now that will come within at a certain point within your list or those results. I think sponsored ads come. What's the phrase now? Is it top 2 that will appear in sponsored products, and then it will come organic ranking?
It depends on the category. Sometimes we see top 3. Sometimes we see top 4.
Okay.
Sometimes you only see 1 depending on the zip code. That's on desktop.
Right.
Now we're recently seeing Amazon taking a spot with a small batch that says featured from our brands. That's taking one of the sponsored product spot right now. But yeah, initially it was just sponsored products, and one of the best examples is how the auto campaign structure changed. Within the course of a year, because you initially had to set an auto campaign just by clicking create auto campaign. You set your bid, and that was it. Now the auto campaign splits in 4, and those 4 go in different places depending what you want to target. So you got loose match, close match, complements, and substitutes, right? And you can now modify your bids based off where you want your product to show. So yeah, it's been
it's gotten a lot more focused, and I think like what a lot of people. There might be a correlation. If you're not an Amazon seller and you're listening to this, or you're an e-commerce seller, this would be the equivalency of if you're placing ads or sponsored ads on any sort of marketplace. But specifically, the best correlation would be on Google, right? So when you search for a phrase or a brand, you're going to see in those top 2 or 3 lots of different companies, not necessarily that brand, that are bidding on those keywords, and they want you to click on that link. So when you click on the link, that is when Amazon or Google in this case example is, all right, we featured your link, now pay us 3 cents or 5 cents, or it could be as high as $1 or $2 per click. Yeah. So that's what cost per click, or I hope it's not that much, but yeah, exactly. I know it depends on how strong and how competitive that keyword is. So it's almost like a stock market, right? Google or Amazon. And maybe this is something you can kind of shed light on. How does Amazon dictate how much each keyword is valued?
Ooh, that's a. Well,
we're going to get really meta, and we're going to get really deep here.
I'm not going to say it's a hot topic, but it depends on the category. Again, you can count. So when you're on Amazon, you can set a max bid, right?
Right.
And Amazon is going to say, okay, you are going to pay a maximum of $1 to approve for this keyword. If there's other people that are bidding $1.50, that keyword first, and your cost per click is going to be really close to $1. Because people think that the higher you bid, the easier it will be to get shown up for a keyword, but it doesn't work like that. Like I can launch my product with $10 bids, and I'm not going to get any visibility. So it's important. That's why it's important that when you are building a listing, it has a good listing, good keywords stuffed in there, a good structure, so that it indexes, and then you put PPC on top of it. And now there are different bidding strategies. Like you have down only, you have fixed bids, you have up and down. If you're just starting out and you want to understand how things work without messing it up, start with down only, because what will happen is you will set $1 bid and you will get charged a little bit of below that, right? You will get to match the actual CPC for your product, not for the category, not for the main category you're in, but for your product, because there are other products that, based off their history, are paying a bit less. There are other products that are just launched, and based off their category, they're paying a bit more. So it depends how you are on the process, optimizing your bids, getting a good sales history. Because there are categories wherein we're paying 20 cents a click. The brand has been out for the last 6 years, so that's why they're paying 20 cents a click on keywords and getting top of search placements. And this is not the case for all categories. There are categories where we manage where things are a bit more complicated, and it's $3 a click. Supplements is really popular in this for having bids this high. but I have been in the supplements category myself with a pretty well-known brand, and we're paying 150 a quick.
Okay.
While other supplement brands are paying 6, but it depends on a lot of factors.
Right. It depends on budget. It depends on your keyword targeting.
Yeah, how much a conversion rate is also another thing that's really important to track when you are when you want to determine how competitive a category is. So if we have a conversion rate higher than the competition, and we are being able to build a history, we're likely to get a lower CPC. So it's not about who has the more money. It's about who's doing the best job. And having a good conversion rate involves a great picture, solid reviews, good title. There are different factors that play in the PPC game as well. And when I can do a recommendation to our partners, I go ahead and do it, because hey, this image could be a bit bigger, or this 4-star rating is not helping us. If we could push it to 4.5 or 5, that could spike the conversion rate, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we've talked about on the show before is that this is just a piece of a very big puzzle, right? Like ranking a product or launching a product. There's lots of ideologies out there of like you can use PPC to rank and list your product, but it all kind of works together like a beautiful picture or like an engine, right? You need to have a great optimized listing. You need to have a great product, good photography. You need to have a great sales record. And when you're just starting out, that's where PPC comes into play, because that's where you can start making the quick wins. You can start getting that sales history, thus kind of dropping back your budget, and then, or hopefully not, and they can increase more, obviously with companies like you guys, and expand it and maybe start getting more visibility and eyeballs. And then Amazon will look at that with their algorithm and say, hey, this is more relevant for this keyword. Let's start moving them up the list ahead of these other products. So it all is a beautiful harmony and symphony of listing your, making your products visible to Amazon. But I think what a lot, so there's that mindset. And then again, for everyone joining us, we have Gabriel Casteros. I put the wrong name in there. You didn't tell me that when I was listing and scrolling stuff at the bottom. It was from a former guest. You didn't tell me that. But no, it's Gabriel from Better AMS. And what we're talking about is just like Amazon PPC. We talked about him selling his Amazon storefront to another business for 6 figures, which is amazing. But now we're talking a little bit more about the Amazon PPC game. If you have questions, obviously put them in the comment below. We'd love to share them and kind of go over them. What is kind of like 2020 is this like really weird enigma. There's been lots of like good things and bad things that a lot of people seen trend wise. What is kind of the biggest takeaway you as a PPC agency that's learned from maybe just kind of the world we live in right now? What's the number one thing for you?
I would say it was interesting that sellers experienced an increase in sales, like a Q4 in March this year. And that was huge for like that completely changed the structure of businesses we work with, because now they have to replenish a lot more inventory that they had planned. Thankfully, most of them didn't run out of stock. Like they had a solid runway because they're planning their inventory well.
Yeah, not a lot of companies were that lucky.
Yeah, not all of companies were that lucky. So I'm thankful that our partners had things planned the right way. They for some reason they had a lot of inventory. Like probably that's a lot of trust in us. But
that's good.
I would say that controlling your emotions where you're doing PPC and things are starting to fluctuate a bit, because we knew that thing was not going to last long. Like in terms of a correction in people going out again, in terms of people noticing that the pandemic, well, I'm not going to say that the COVID is not going to kill you, but people having that sense of, hey, I need to go out, I need to go to malls, I need to go to play soccer. And we saw, a curve of sales trending down while all of that was going on. And we couldn't keep the same ad spend, because that would increase our TACOS. TACOS stands for Total Advertising Cost of Sales. So there were lots of changes that we had to do to adapt to where sales were going to be, especially in the past probably 3 months, right? So we had to adapt, and now we're trying to gearing up again, because we don't know if this is going to be the best Q4 ever, or
Right.
if it's going to be very similar to what we experienced on March. Right? We still don't know that, but I would say one of the most challenging things was adapt to that, because you don't want to overspend. We knew that conversions were dropping at some point, because we saw that on our data, and we had to adapt, right? We have to adapt and consolidate strategies that would make our partners save money, or just maintain the same TACOS that they were getting a couple of months ago.
Sure. So I know a lot of people are kind of the mindset, like, no one's going to be shopping in stores for health and safety reasons. I know there's a very small minority of people who think like, hey, maybe this isn't the expectation we think it's going to surpass, and there's going to be not as big of an uptick. Where does you as a team and Better AMS, do you think trend? I'm going to go off of trends, right? Because we can't obviously predict the future. Trend wise, obviously Black Friday is next week. There's Cyber Monday, a couple days after that. We just had Prime Day, which, got pushed for various reasons, but it's being lengthened even more across almost like a 3-month period.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's going to saturate just almost like a quarter and stretch it out? Or do you still think that you'll see the traditional huge peaks around those events?
From what I've seen in the past couple of days, it didn't stretch out. Like right after Prime Day, things got back to where they were. And what I was expecting, and part of what our partners were expecting, is that we could see a Q4 split from Prime Day to December 15th. It didn't happen that way. So I think we're going to live the traditional. I still have no idea how Amazon is going to deal with that. So I think we will experience Black Friday and an increase in sales from there. Of course, Black Friday will be insane. I mean, Walmart's not going to open. Walmart retail stores are not going to open for Black Friday. So it's going to be very interesting. Like, and businesses are killing it year over year. Our partners are killing it year over year. But we know that, we had this Q4 on March, as well as different things going on, like especially when the stimulus check hit, businesses started booming again. So it's something that we have also we will have to take into account for our forecast on 2021. And I think it's going to be a traditional one, because sales are not booming right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people are they're trying to give a perspective, and almost maybe they want to go against the grain and say, oh, well, luck out, we may not have this traditional sense of a holiday because of that. Kind of, we've lengthened the stay at home. People are kind of fatigued, maybe not spend as much money online because of either layoffs or just employment statuses are up in the air. But I certainly think that people are used to more shopping online, and I think are just going to see more of the convenience of it, and why fight again crowds for deals that are just as good online, and you can just do it in your pajamas from home. So, but that being said, I think there's also, because you've sold on Amazon before, and I think this is kind of the time of year when lots of people are like, don't shop on Amazon, shop on, or go to a mom and pop store, or go to a store down your street and support local businesses, right? Mm-hmm. What is, you as a former Amazon seller and now an agency, obviously I think you trend one way, but why should people not take that approach, or why is that a misleading approach to look at, especially around the holidays?
Mm-hmm. Good question, Ryan. I think there are lots of family-owned businesses in Amazon as well.
I agree.
And they are probably not in a huge downtown, and thanks to Amazon, they have the chance to sell the goods through the platform and give perfect delivery times and perfect customer service. I don't know how the vibe's like, because I don't live in the U.S. and I don't have that feeling of how strong that's like this period of the year. But my answer would be there are local businesses on Amazon as well. If you really want to make sure you're purchasing from a family-owned business, I would take a look at the enhanced brand content or the store, and make sure who I'm buying from, right? Because there are definitely lots of family-owned. But we work with different family-owned businesses on Amazon that have been hustling for the past 10 years, 15 years. Some of them are new. So that doesn't stop people from buying from local businesses. You can just split it if you want to do it that way, or you could just find family-owned businesses on Amazon. I don't know if at a point there was a page feature for Amazon, a family-owned businesses on Amazon. I don't remember. I think there was. I don't know, but I don't want.
No, it's fine. No, you're fine. And I think like I'm not throwing people under the bus because that was the traditional model. I think the education out there is what Amazon struggles with. You'll maybe you don't see it in Guatemala, but there's an ad that specifically runs, and I can really describe it as best I can. It's lights being turned on in almost like a factory floor setting where people are turning on lights. You hear in the background, "Hey Janice," "Hey Tom," or whatever their names are. And you see lots of boxes being like there's lots of goods. It looks like almost like the assembly line. They're making their goods or they're packaging and going to ship out. And Amazon's tactic is, hey, Amazon supports this million or this many small business owners and sellers. So I think that they're trying to reposition themselves as, hey, we're a marketplace. And by tradition, just like a farmer's market, it's a place where people gather to sell goods. Yes, there is a percentage of goods on Amazon that is bought and sold by Amazon. Those are Amazon Basics products or whatever, and that's different. But I think what a lot of people don't understand is you can actually find on every single product on Amazon, you go and click on it. You can look on the side, and if it says sold by, and then it has a funky name, whether it's like a store name or a just a brand name like Nike, or not Nike because Nike doesn't sell on Amazon, but like brand XYZ and fulfilled by Amazon, that's completely different. So the store name, if it's a weird name, you can actually click on that, see what goods that brand sells or that storefront sells. Yeah. And more often than not, that's going to be a person at their computer like you or me that's finding goods or manufacturing goods and selling those online, and it's funding my business. But also, like you said, there's people online that are selling online because that's how they're adapting now. It's a convenience thing, and it spreads out their ability to, get their products in front of people. And I think that misconception is really hard on people, especially Amazon sellers, which I don't want to take business away from a mom and pop store as well. You obviously should support them in every way possible, but also on the flip side, you can't say don't buy an Amazon because it just supports Jeff Bezos and fund his private jet planes or whatever. So even though he is very, very wealthy, he has a lot of, his fingers in a lot of different things. That it's not the whole picture, and that's kind of what I want to get your opinion on. What kind of new PPC trends or options are out there? I kind of teased Amazon DSP. Can you tell people what that is? Because I'm still learning about it. I think it was pretty new. Can you kind of shed light on that?
Wow, that is something I'm still new in.
Hey, it's on your guys' website, so I figured I'd ask.
yeah. Follow Kyle Kirkwood. He's our director of DSP at the agency. He's putting out great content about Amazon DSP. I have a brand I work with that it's doing DSP right now. And what DSP basically is, there's a huge funnel, right? There's a huge funnel, and there's people that haven't never ever bought your products, but they have seen it, right? There's the people that have on the middle funnel. There's people that have interacted with your products, right? There's people that have seen your products, they have clicked on your ad, they have clicked on your products, they have read through your description, and there's the bottom of the funnel of people that have purchased your products, that have had put the products in their carts and that have been really close to checkout, but for some reason they didn't. And what DSP is a tool that will help you retarget 12 months from now people in different areas of the funnel. The best area to target is the bottom funnel. People that have purchased your products in the past. Again, if you're going to target people that have purchased your products, what kind of products are we talking about? Well, consumer goods products, it's a great example, because what you want is to increase the lifetime value of a customer. And you do that by running retargeting ads, because you want that buyer to try your product again if they liked it. You want that buyer to be loyal to your products, right? And to adapt a lifestyle to the products you're selling. So what DSP, this is basically just how the targeting part works. But you start retargeting that people that have purchased your products in the past, and all of a sudden you were able to scrap, I don't know, $10,000, $100,000 in sales, just because you were able to get noticeable by all of the people that have purchased your products in the past. And that gives a solid return, because people that have seen your products, that have purchased your products, have a sense of who you are because they have tried your products in the past. If you start going higher up the funnel, right, and with people that have seen your product and have clicked on your product, your return is probably not going to be similar, right? Because people haven't tried your products yet. That's basically how DSP works. And the most interesting and the thing I'm envious about Amazon DSP is that it's coming up with great creatives, right? You have all of these GIFs that you can custom. You have the ads showing, at Amazon's.com homepage, stuff like that, right? And if we would get in depth on how you can refine your targeting when you are running ads higher up the funnel, it's crazy. Like, imagine you're doing some sort of, I don't love comparisons, but imagine if you have done ads on Facebook and you can refine people by their zip code and what kind of music they like and what age range you want to target on. You can do that on DSP, right? So it's I would say Amazon Advertising Console. It's one platform. This is another platform that needs a whole team to manage on, because it's just big and so interesting.
Yeah, and I'm sharing my screen for those. If you're listening to the podcast right now, I'm sharing it. It's advertising.amazon.com. It's under their solutions tab. You can obviously learn more and look on a high level what Amazon touts about it. But this is just information that's super interesting in terms of it's a retargeting platform that Amazon can obviously attract other people to come and make purchases on their marketplaces. It's available on very specific marketplaces right now, but I think it's something that they're testing. Obviously moving forward, from what I understand, this is almost like any kind of retargeting campaign that Facebook or Google can also run too, because once they go on your listing or they made a purchase before, Amazon will drop almost like a pixel or almost like a tracking cookie. Yeah, exactly. So what that is, for people who are unaware, when you go to a specific page or website, it will load all this code that is in the HTML, which is what obviously in tech jargon is what makes the website appear the way it is. And there's pieces of code on there that says, if this user on this browser goes on this page, reserve information to them about this information. And you can obviously tell it what to do, serve an ad, serve a product placement, whatever that information is that you're telling it to do. That's what Amazon is now allowing sellers to do. So if they come and they abandon and they don't make that purchase, Amazon DSP is saying, hey, maybe you forgot to make this purchase. Your 5-year-old ran in the room and they, took your mind away from buying, the can opener that you were looking to purchase or something along those lines. Yeah. So this will like almost follow you on different websites apart from Amazon, but also when you're searching on the marketplace, hey, did you remember to make this purchase? So it's super interesting. They made obviously a fancy video for it. But I just thought that was something that, super interesting to talk about, and
Super.
I'm learning more information. But you said who's the person we need to follow for more information on that? Part of your team, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Kyle Kirkwood is our director of DSP. He's putting out content for Amazon DSP specifically.
Awesome. Yeah. So I know. So obviously follow Kyle. Hopefully Kyle is listening, or obviously can answer questions in the future. But I know there's just so much more we can dive into, and we've come up on an hour of your time, Gabrielle. What is kind of the way that people can get in touch with you if they're looking for more information, obviously about running campaigns, running, just in general about you, your background? What's the best way to get in touch with you and your team?
Yeah, you can. What's the best way? Let me think. You can reach out to me via LinkedIn. I usually respond there. I usually respond probably to 15 to 20 messages a day through Loom videos, because I like that people come up with really particular specific questions, and they're like, Gabriel, I'm having this issue, and I'm like, that's what I think in a Loom video. So I record myself and I'm like, hey, you should do these and these because the data tells me this, and probably you should try this, right? So LinkedIn, I think it's the main one. You could also reach me via, I don't know, I'm on Facebook.
Is there an email address that they should email? Okay.
Yeah, you guys could email me at Gabrielle, just like it shows right there, at betterams.com as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and obviously reach out on LinkedIn or social media. I know that's how Gabrielle and I connected at first, but just through the content, follow anyone from his team. Honestly, I always follow what Destiny's posting. I follow what Gabrielle's posting. There's so much valuable information in terms of, like, again, I think the point that we made throughout this entire kind of talk today was educate yourself on just not from one company, but across the border, from people who both lived it, like Gabrielle, or people who are just like very well and knowledgeable of what the space, allows. And it's constantly changing. So maybe before we leave, where are you continuing to learn more information? Was there like a source of like something that you're checking, or a Facebook group that you're constantly learning from, or an article, a set of articles? Like what's something that people can continue to keep up on PPC?
Oh, good question. I think you touch a great point, and it's that if you have good connections on LinkedIn related to what you want to do, in this case selling on Amazon, you can get a lot of good content from just posts that you see. Groups on Facebook, Helium users, it's a classic one. The Private Label Legion is another good one. Seller Tradecraft is another good one. I mean, there are lots of groups. The thing is, you need something that adapts to where you are right now. So there are certain groups that are that have more high level questions. There are some other groups that are things are a bit more complicated, and there are other groups that are people are asking questions like what's Amazon FBA, right? So yeah, it depends.
Those people you just send a link, you say, check this out.
Yeah, there are groups that will definitely adapt to the stage you are right now, and I would say join them all, and then start refining what works, what groups are better for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, they're easy to find. Obviously, search like Amazon Mastermind classes, or if you are listening to this later on and have questions, feel free to reach out to myself or make a comment in our post, and we'll be able to like send you links like of top ones. I know next week, for example, we're going to be speaking with Sharon Evan. She has her own group, an educator and seller from Israel. She's fantastic and has a really cool group that's called Amazon FBA Alphas. Helium has it. Viral Launch has it. I mean, any kind of software company has their own group. PingPong Payments has their own group. E-commerce, it talks on everything e-commerce. So if you have questions, obviously go in there and know what their expectations are, and then ask questions, because that's what those groups are there for, is to kind of prop up and support individuals like any kind of seller, really. So definitely check them out. They're there to educate and give you kind of insight on what's been successful, when maybe to avoid. And then obviously, if you're looking for something specific, like a solution, like anything, just be wary of like when people reach out to you and say, hey, I can help you with that. Just make sure you do your homework, verify with other places and people, and go from there. So that's kind of my my little soapbox, if you will, of be careful what you wish. I mean, like obviously ask for help, but also be wary of like who you accept it from, and just cross-reference and do the homework, just like anything. Yeah. So Gabrielle, I love having you on here. I know you're super busy. I don't want to take too much more of your time. Super insightful. We'd love to have you on, obviously, after all this kind of settles down, see maybe more like trends, what you're looking for in 2021, and kind of go from there. So if there's anything else you want to leave us with, feel free. And otherwise, hey, safe travels back to the United States. I would say you said you're traveling here.
Yeah.
Next week.
I came back yesterday.
Oh, okay.
From Fort Lauderdale. It was actually the first time I lived the American experience, because I have had taking connection flights before to China or somewhere else. I think we will.
That was your first time in the United States?
It was my first time. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You picked that place of all places. No, I'm just kidding. Fort Lauderdale. If you're listening, Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, people told me you should have visited Miami Beach, stuff like that. I think we will need a part 2 at some point, Ryan, because we went high level over the past hour.
Oh my gosh, we did.
Yeah.
I mean, we can get very integrated. And again,
hours, I believe.
Well, you're more than welcome to hop on if you're like, hey, no one's like talking about this. I want to provide information for the people of, obviously around the world. Every marketplace is going to be different, and that's something we didn't even touch on. There's other agencies we love on here. There's just so much information. Not every one person knows it all. So we're going to get as integrated as we can into the space and try to provide just as much insight as we can from companies like Better AMS. I know we have friends over at Solozo. The list goes on and on. There's so many different agencies. Check them out. Feel comfortable if you work with them. If you do it yourself, that's also fine as well. But Gabrielle, thank you so much. Love learning more about you. Love having you on here. If you have questions for him or myself, obviously reach out on social media, everyone. And you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever. I'm everywhere, I feel like. But next week we have 2 great guests before Thanksgiving here in the United States, Black Friday and Cyber Monday. We're going to be talking about PR from Shane from PR Reach, and then we're going to talk with Sharon Evans of Amazon FBA Alpha. So tune in next week. If you have questions over the weekend, feel free to reach out. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us on Crossover Commerce. Gabrielle, awesome having you here. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you. Take care, everyone, and reach out.